So, what happens when a patient tells you they have a plan to hurt someone once they're discharged? Or when they refuse medication that you know they desperately need? These aren't just exam questions, right? This is the real deal. In this explainer, we're going to cut through the noise and do a super high-yield review of the legal and ethical principles you absolutely have to know. Think of this as your final cram session for the NCLEX, and more importantly, your roadmap for safe and confident practice on the floor.
So, how are we going to organize all this? Well, we're going to build what I call the pyramid of safe practice. We'll start with the bedrock, the absolute foundation of patient rights. And then we'll build our way up, layer by layer, all the way to the top, where we make those tough clinical decisions. Every level builds on the one before it, giving you a really solid framework. So, let's get started at the bottom.
All right, first up, the base of our pyramid. This is the unshakable foundation of patient rights and legal boundaries. And look, these aren't just abstract rules. This is the sacred trust that exists between you and your patient. It's the framework that keeps them safe and defines our entire practice.
Okay, let's make HIPAA really, really simple. I want you to picture this. All of your clients' protected health information, their PHI, it's locked inside a massive, high-security vault. So who holds the key? Only one person, the client. You can't open that vault for anyone, not a spouse, not a parent, nobody, without that client's specific written permission. They hold the key, period.
Okay, pay attention, because this right here is a classic NCLEX trap. Competency versus capacity. How do we keep them straight? Simple. Think gavel versus stethoscope. Only a judge with a gavel can declare someone legally incompetent. That's a formal legal thing. But you, as the nurse, you use your clinical judgment, your stethoscope, right, to assess a client's clinical capacity to make a decision in that moment. One is a court of law, the other is at the bedside. You have to know the difference.
All right, so our foundation of patient rights is solid. Now we're climbing up to the next layer of our pyramid, and this one can feel like a legal minefield. We're talking about torts. This is all about our legal duties and, honestly, the stuff that can put your license and your patient at serious risk.
An easy way to think about torts is to imagine a car crash. An unintentional tort is like an accident. You made a mistake, like a med error, that caused harm. That's negligence, maybe even malpractice. But an intentional tort, that's like a purposeful crash. You deliberately did something that caused harm or fear. Think assault or battery.
So let's drill down on this, because you will see this again. What's the real difference between assault and battery? Well, assault is the threat. It's you saying, if you don't take this medicine, I'm going to hold you down and give you a shot. You haven't touched them, but you've put the fear in them. That is assault. Battery is the actual touching. It's grabbing them or giving that shot without consent. So remember, assault is the threat, battery is the touch.
Now this is a huge one. This is a critical exception to all those privacy rules we just talked about. It's called the duty to warn and protect. And what it means is this. If your client makes a specific, believable threat against a specific person, your duty to protect that person's life overrides HIPAA. It's no longer confidential. You must report it. This is a massive, non-negotiable public safety responsibility.
Okay, we're climbing again. This next level of the pyramid deals with the really high-stakes interventions. We're talking about the most restrictive, most legally watched actions we can take. These require perfect judgment and even better documentation.
The law is very clear about this. You have to climb what I call the ladder of restriction. You always start on the lowest rung. That means verbal de-escalation, trying to lower the stimuli, offering a PRN med. You only climb to the next rung, like seclusion or restraints, if all those less restrictive options fail and the patient is in immediate danger to themselves or others.
And if you do have to use restraints, you must have the 4/2/1 rule memorized. It's a federal rule, it's non-negotiable. For an adult, a restraint order is good for a maximum of 4 hours. For an adolescent, it's 2 hours. And for a child under 9, it's only 1 hour. Once that time is up, the order expires, and the provider has to do a new face-to-face assessment to write a new one.
Okay, here it is. A giant flashing red flag for your exam and for your nursing license. There is no such thing as a PRN or as-needed order for restraints. It is illegal. If a provider ever writes one, you must refuse to follow it. Your job is to advocate for your patient and get a proper, time-limited order based on a current assessment. It's a huge safety issue. We've made it. We've climbed the legal rungs of our pyramid, covering all the things we must do. But now we're at the very top, the apex. This is our ethical compass. This is what guides us when the law isn't so black and white, and we have to figure out what is truly right.
Here's how I like to think about it. Your ethical principles are your internal compass. They always point you toward the right decision for your patient. And professional boundaries, not accepting gifts, not sharing too much about your own life, those are the guardrails on the side of the road. You can have the best intentions, but if you cross those guardrails, you can wreck the entire therapeutic relationship.
So let's quickly run through the big 6 ethical principles you'll see on exams. Autonomy is about respecting a client's right to make their own choices. Beneficence means you're actively trying to do good for them. Non-maleficence is the flip side. It means doing no harm. Justice is about fairness, making sure everyone gets the same level of care. Fidelity means you're loyal and you keep your promises. And veracity simply means you tell the truth.
All right, pop quiz time. This is a classic NCLEX trap. A nurse carefully does 3 medication checks before giving a med to prevent an error. Is that A, beneficence, doing good, or is it B, non-maleficence, doing no harm? Take a second. What do you think? The answer is B, non-maleficence. And here's the key distinction you have to lock in your brain. Actively preventing something bad from happening, like a med error, is doing no harm. That's non-maleficence. Actively doing something good, like teaching a new coping skill, is beneficence. It's a subtle difference, but it's a critical one.
Okay, here we go. It's time to put it all together. We're going to take every single layer of our pyramid, the rights, the torts, the interventions, the ethics, and we're going to apply it to one clinical scenario to figure out our priority nursing action. But first, a quick communication lab. In a crisis, the wrong way to talk is to make a threat. If you don't calm down, I'm going to tie you down. We now know that's the legal definition of assault. The right way, the therapeutic way, is to state the justification clearly and calmly. I am applying these restraints because you are not safe right now, and our job is to keep you safe. See the difference? You're not punishing, you're protecting.
So here's our scenario. You have a client who is admitted voluntarily. He leans in and tells you he has a very detailed, very specific plan to murder his former boss as soon as he's discharged. And then he looks you in the eye and says, "But we're good, right? This is all confidential."
So what do you do first? What is your number one absolute priority in this exact moment? Think it through.
And the answer, without a doubt, is your duty to warn. This is where the entire pyramid comes together. That legal duty to protect an identifiable victim totally overrides HIPAA in this case. Your priority is not the client's confidentiality, it is public safety. You must immediately get your team involved so you can warn the intended victim and notify the police. And that right there is probably the most important safety takeaway you can get from our talk today.